Oh, the unconditional love.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, what do you do, though, if you have a child, and I suppose if her dad's accepting of it, sure, that happens, but, like, how do you actually impose any sort of, or try to restrict behavior in a child that you find objectionable?
I mean, I guess...
Like, but I want to ask it to her, because you said unconditional love, right? So would you be okay if you had a daughter if she was doing pornography?
Well, see, the thing is that before she's my daughter, she's her own person.
Aww.
That no matter how I raise her, what I teach her, what I instill in her, how I program her, at the end of the day, she might just do whatever else she wants to do.
But I guess let me make a differentiation here. So we're all free individuals. Like, we're all going to make our own decisions. So I agree with you that insofar as she has the ability, like, she could go and do all sorts of things that you disagree with, and you wouldn't really have like, if she was dead set on doing it, there really wouldn't be much you could do to stop her if she's an adult, right?
Right.
But you would agree that parents do have a duty to try to, like, I'm trying to think of an example. If you had a son and he was like, I want to become a drug dealer, and I mean, I don't know your views on drug, he wanted to sell, like, hard drugs like methamphetamine. I would assume, like, you probably couldn't do anything to stop him, but you would probably tell him or say things like, hey, that's a really bad idea. Here are the potential consequences.
Right.
Here are the consequences. And if you do actually start selling drugs, you might say something, I don't know if you'd say this, but you might say something like, wow, selling drugs is really dangerous. I wouldn't be comfortable with you living in my home, and I think we should distance our relationship while you're selling drugs. I probably don't want to spend time with you because you're involved in a really dangerous business. Let's say he said, I do these drug deals with the cartels. You'd be like, whoa, the cartel is known for going after people's families. I'm really uncomfortable with that. I need to distance myself from you until you get out of that, and please don't do it.
I would be like that. However, no matter how close she is to her dad, she's lived her own life that's led her to do OnlyFans. So and I'm sure your dad knows that, like, whether it was great things or horrible things, that no matter how bad it would get for a person, at least her dad is present for her. He's like, I want her in my life regardless whether she does, because I'm sure your dad's probably like a free spirit person, right? Open-minded, right?
Okay.
So he's looking at it like he's probably made decisions in his life that he probably wouldn't.
Sure, we all make mistakes.
But the thing is that he's probably so spiritually in tune with himself that he's like, the day I ever lose my daughter, he would probably regret not ever talking to her over something like this.
Well, I mean, certainly you might, as a father, you might regret the disintegration of a relationship with the child. But I suppose, and Sav, I'll pose this question to you. If your dad had told you before, like, let's say when you were thinking about starting the OF, and you went to him and you're like, hey, Dad, I'm thinking about doing this. I don't know if you did that. I don't know if you told him after the fact. But if before you even got in, he told you, whoa, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm going to have to distance myself from you. That, within my worldview and my values, I am not okay with you doing that. Would that have been an influence in your decision, and maybe would you have considered not doing it?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you have not done it?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it, but...
You wouldn't... Wait, so hold on. You wouldn't have done it if your dad said, I'm not okay with you doing this. Please don't.
If he said he was going to distance himself from me, then yeah, I would not do it.
But so you see here, if you got to hold the line then. Like, you got to be the mom or the dad that says, I'm not going to give you unconditional love. I'm not going to just accept your decisions. You need to, you're my child, you're my daughter. That's not okay.
Okay.
I love you. Let me help you. How can I help you? Don't do this.
Here's the thing, though. It's not all black and white. It's not like I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to do an OnlyFans, and my dad was like, great, go for it. there was a lot of life that happened that led me to that point. And I think that him seeing me happy and healthy and doing things that I love, I think that really kind of overpowers any negative feelings that he would have towards it. So it's not just black and white. It's not.
Well, I get that it's lucrative for you, and I get that he's happy that you're making money and you're not starving in the street. But I mean, OnlyFans is not and I'm not super interested in having like a long-winded like OF bad conversation. This is more so from like the parental angle that I'm interested in exploring. It's like there are other things that you can pursue to make, like, OF is not like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. You just wanted money.
Well, it's just like any job. Like, you do any job. You do this because you want money, right?
Sure, yeah.
Exactly. So that's just how every job works. But this job, I get to be at home and I get to be safe and I get to work when I want and travel when I want. So, I mean, the trade-off for it is really...
would you want your daughter doing...
If that's what my daughter chose to do,
that's
then...
corn.
That's okay.
Then I would support her, yeah.
You'd be in favor of her doing... What if she wanted to do, like, gangbangs and, like, crazy shit?
Oh, God.
I would support her.
Yeah, but you are familiar, like, the STD rate in, like, the industry? Like, a lot of these girls end up with herpes within the first, like, 1 or 2 years?
Right.
Like, in the traditional industry.
Yeah.
So you'd be fine, like, advocating for something that would impact her sexual health? I'm
not advocating for my daughter to get STDs. I think that I can advocate for her to have her own life and make her own choices, and then also educate her on how to be safe about those choices.
I think that's what you call soft parenting. Now, me personally, that's a different story.
What if you
I
told
was
your
raised
mom,
by a Cuban father and a Mexican mother.
If you told
get my ass handed to me.
I was gonna ask, if you told your mom and or dad, hey, I'm gonna start porn, what would they say?
Well, no.
If you were in person, what would they do?
Well, my dad, my father was a business owner. He was a hustler. So he instilled that in me. He programmed that in me versus like just letting me kind of roam free mentally or physically. Mm-hmm. My mom always instilled being very independent and hardworking. My mom's a real estate agent in Palm Springs. So I didn't really grow up with being able to like sort of think for myself, operate for myself, rather than like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're more so like, you have to take this path. They program me to be more of a hustler than and a business owner rather than be more free-spirited.
Right. But I guess when it comes to the parental component here, I mean, she even grants that if her dad said, I'm not comfortable with you doing this, she would not have done OF. And it's like, if we just take this approach of, oh, you can do whatever you want, you can become a prostitute, you can do porn, you can do OF.
I mean, he definitely doesn't have that perspective. He wouldn't be like, go deal drugs and be a prostitute. That wouldn't... It's completely different being at home, taking pictures, posting them online.
I get it's different, but I mean, there are some negative...
You're comparing it to drug dealing, though.
Well, I get the gravity of it is different, but there is stigma that's associated with fans. In fact, I mean, I'm sure your father wants you to end up with a great guy. You yourself have admitted you've struggled when it comes to dating because of your involvement in what sounds like relatively tame sex work.
Right.
Fans. I don't know the extent of what you're doing. Have you done BG content?
Like with somebody that I was
did a little bit of BG content. Okay.
At some point.
Otherwise, you're just doing solo content. You're not doing gangbangs every week, whatever. But it's like, if fathers and if mothers were saying, if they said, you might not like this, I'm going to disown you if you do this, it could prevent a lot of undesirable behavior in one's children. And again, look, hey, at the end of the day, they can make they're going to do what they're going to do. But I think part of a parent's duties and responsibilities is, even with adult children, is exerting influence on your children.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
and guiding them. Just because I'm not like, if when my kid turns 18, I'm not going to be like, okay, just go into the world, and I'm not going to try to guide you or help you in any sort of ways. I think people you need guidance throughout your entire life, and
Yeah.
I'd be there for my kids to guide them in a way that I think is the best way to go. And the only leverage you have as a parent is, well, I'm just going to be really disappointed in. No, it's got to be like, I'm going to disown
Soft
you.
Yeah, that's hard parenting.
How else are you going to leverage any degree of influence on your children? Like you don't. There's
I think
no
it
other
has
way.
to do with respect too. Like I have like my dad was present in my life. I have 2 older brothers. I have several nephews, a lot of guy cousins. I was raised around a lot of guys, so I would never feel comfortable doing that. And I have a lot of respect for my father and my brothers, so I wouldn't put them in that position.
And if my daughter was like, "Oh, how am I going to try to make money?" I'm gonna be like, "Well, let's do a game plan." Like, and maybe it's like, what are your interests? Can that get you money? Okay, maybe. What about like, hey, I mean, in my own personal example, I've had a lot of experience doing content creation. I don't think I'd want her to have like a dating podcast like mine, but you know, if she wanted to, I don't know, make baking, whatever it is. I don't know what the meta is. I don't know what the meta is for women content creators who don't do OF. But I'd be like, let's explore it. How, if you want to do content, maybe that's something. But I don't know.
I think it's just different life
Upbringings.
perspectives. Yeah, because
and cultures too.
Yeah, because it's not like a lack of respect. Like I was raised by my dad, only him. So we just have a different view on life. You know, we just want to. I'm not religious. He's not religious.
Sure.
In 100 years, all of us are going to be dead, and we're not going to be in heaven, in my opinion. So I feel like I measure my life and experience, and gives me the opportunity to have a lot of experiences.
But I'm not even arguing it like this can be just a totally secular position when it comes to this. You yourself has said, I have encountered issues when it comes to dating because of what I do.
Yeah.
And that could have like cascading domino effect impacts on your life in a negative way. And also like just being involved in like content, even if it's not OF, just being involved in content. Like, do you see the nasty side of men?
Oh,
doing
sure.
OF?
Yeah, but I saw that before I did OnlyFans.
Sure, of course. You can see the nasty side of people absent doing sex work. But like the majority of sex workers typically don't have particularly high opinions of men, which I don't think is a particularly healthy mindset or really going to contribute healthily to, like, you want to you want to date a guy, have kids. Do you want kids one day?
Yeah, I do. I mean,
Okay.
some people might feel that way, but I definitely don't have like any less respect for men because I do fans.
You're not jaded
No.
at all?
No.
Come on. I'm
really
jaded
not.
doing this.
Oh.
You've got to be a little jaded doing the OnlyFans.
I'm really not. I feel like
Really? All the guys sending you their weird fucking kinky requests and shit. That's
I mean,
not.
yeah, it's like less than
some weird shit.
1% of guys. Like, I don't know. I just can't really base all dudes off of those.
All right. Got a message here.